We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
And of course, we have converged again to make sense of happenings in and around Nigeria this morning on today's edition of the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. I am Chisom Chinidu. And of course, I'd start by addressing something that happened or came off from the conversations we had yesterday. I recall before we signed off yesterday, I think it was in the comment section in marriages. However, the criminal code, according to a professor in law that I spoke to, does not explicitly create the offense of marital rape. Rather, such intercourse between husband and wife was excluded as rape by its definition of unlawful carnal knowledge. However, your wife can sue you for rape. And like Franklin pointed out yesterday, especially in states where you have the VAP law domesticated. That's the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law 2017. In Anambra State, it appears more progressive, actually, and it broadly redefines rape as an intentional penetration with...
What became the turning point was the fact that the Ifeanyi was not able to fulfill the financial promises he made to her after violating her. Because the fact is that she was violated. She was violated because when she went to meet her at the hotel, she explained her vulnerability to the man, and he chose to exploit that. The first thing is that from the point Favor decided to leave her place in Warri to come to Asaba, Ifeanyi was aware that financially she was vulnerable because she had told him how she was in a financial mess, needed some money, and a man was offering to help. The man is based in Abuja, but the man told her to come to Abuja, but she didn't want to go because she was afraid if she gets there, and the man might want to exploit her sexually. So she resorted to this very man for help, and the man told her to come to Asaba. And it was at that very Asaba that he took her to the hotel, and while they were on bed talking, the young man began to pull his clothes. According to her, at the point she resisted. From the resistance, the guy forcefully tried to penetrate her. She ran, later she left the bed, went to the bedroom to clean herself all, came there begging her, and before anything happened. But after the whole thing, she left. Now, there was a conversation that he was going to send her money, only for the guy to only send 10,000 naira out of the 50,000 naira being expected for her to be able to take care of herself, go for treatment and what have you not. But at the end of the day, what I was able to take out from this is this. If I'm to offer, because for me, especially women should find a way not to expose their vulnerability to men, because many men will try to exploit that, especially if it's about if it's about money. Because I think that many men now have this very mindset that nothing goes for nothing. If I'm going to offer you some financial assistance, you should be able to, service my sexual fantasies or whatever it is. And that has become the phenomenon we are dealing with in today's world. But the truth of the matter, the parents of the deceased.
Awele?
Yes, and they're asking for 7 million. They said that 7 million is for them to settle hospital bills, do other things. They want to do a policy, plenty things. And so many reactions coming from there. So maybe I should pause the update on this at this very point. Another thing I was also able to establish yesterday was that the Odogo Fasaba, or okay, they find it. He has 2 Facebook accounts. One of
As
them.
of yesterday, that page had 77,000 followers. So it means people are still following that page.
No, for the fact that the story is trending, people would like to go there.
And they are following it.
And of course,
they don't know the difference between view and follow.
To know. You see now, the thing about Nigerians is that many of us in the quest to follow gossip and what have you not, they might think that if they follow that very page, if there's any developments, it's going to be posted there so that they won't miss out. I know when your friend Ekene and the
picture of my friend
and the the movie actress.
Okay, can you name one?
Yes, and her ex-wife friend, when their own case happened, I saw how many of them gained more followership. Even the lady based in US, they gain more followers because people were just going to the page to feed on the stories and what have you not. So that is the situation. So these very content creators, what they do is that many of them have 2 accounts. In case anything happens to this very one, they can fall back to the other one, and even in some cases they want to earn from 2 accounts. So that's why most of the times they have 2 accounts that they run. So that is the situation there. Then talk about Senator. Okay, let me call.
Flogged the case, especially since the Odogwu Asaba, or do I call him more Diego Asaba, now has been arrested. I am hoping that young girls also learn a lesson. Somebody wants to help you, and the person is inviting you to a hotel. Make it make sense.
For me, not even a hotel. Like that's why I said it. Young people should stop, becoming vulnerable to some persons they don't know too well. Now,
who do we even blame for this vulnerability? The government?
Now look at this. Look at this. For me, I don't think the government. If we have time, I'll tell you a story. Somebody who was in financial stress, and somebody told you to come to Abuja, he was going to help, and you knew what could possibly happen. You declined that. And then you now run to somebody you don't have any relationship with.
But have you been seeing all Diego Asaba's other videos? He positioned himself as somebody who would never rape a girl.
Yes.
He positioned himself as someone who spoke up against rape, who spoke up against domestic violence. So while I totally would not clap for a girl who goes to, seek this help. It's not like people would stop helping people, but because we know the world is the way it is, we test every spirit. But this man positioned himself as a safe space. And let's not forget that strangers have come through for people more times than we can count.
I went through his pages and I saw that what I was able to decipher, he's a man of double standard, because in one video he positions as somebody who is against, forcing a woman into what she doesn't want to do. Mm-hmm. In another video, I see another video where he shows himself that he's the man who believes that nothing goes for nothing. So I see him as having this contradictory character that if you like, young girls sometimes they throw caution to the wind. There was a time somebody asked me to help them to, get employees. Then they had vacancies, and he told me to see how I could help to get applicants. And I told some friends of mine, and a friend of mine posted that on his page. Somebody based
bọtụlụ mọta Guinness ole ka ị chọrọ ịṅụta?
Nwanne m, ọ bụrụ ịmaghị maka ihe rite Goodness Dunlad nke ndị Malta Guinness. Anaghị m aṅụ mmanya niile a na nkịtị o. Achọrọ m iji ya wee rite ihe rite dị iche iche dịka fridge, TV, generator, standing fan, instant airtime, ya na ezigbo ego. Gwam, otu a ka ihe rite Goodness Dunlad nke ndị Malta Guinness si dị. Naanị zụta Malta Guinness gị, mepee ya, skanụ akara ya, itinyezi akara dị n'okwuchi bọtụlụ gị. Ọ gwụcha, ị nwere ike irite ego ruru nde naira 2 na ihe rite dị iche iche ruo ngwụcha Ọgọst.
Chai, Ikenna, ebinyego m uche anụ nwa kemgbe. Bịa, onye na-ere Malta Guinness, wetara m bọtụlụ Malta Guinness na.
Malta Guinness, nourishing goodness for every side of you.
Udala Radio. Ebe egwu na-atọ ụtọ.
21 gun salute onye isi kowai.
Akụkọ na-eme ka obi sie gị ike. Na vibes na-esochi gị kwa ụbọchị. Tinye redio. Mee ka ụbọchị gị maa mma.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
And of course, the conversation is going to continue quite very speedily right now. But Frank, I want to understand, in the middle of all of the things that have happened, and of course the lessons being learned and all of it, someone actually thinks this is content. Do you even suspect remotely that this could be content?
No. There are things that you will see. If it's being acted, if you pay close attention, you'll be able to decipher. You know, what I discovered about the person that made that recommendation was the fact that I discovered that he hadn't even had time to follow the whole thing. Because if he had followed the whole thing, he would have been able to establish that it wasn't content. Maybe he woke up from sleep and he saw a trend, and because he's a keypad warrior, he just went to social media and made that very statement he made. That was why I went there to make that recommendation I made this very morning. It's quite unfortunate. Somebody that his body, her body has been, displayed. Lawyers have got involved. Activists have got involved. State government has got involved. Police has got involved, and they have all confirmed this. And he was on social media posting it could be a content. Like I keep on saying, some people have, in the quest to, have to gain traction, in the quest to remain in public discussion, and they have lost their memory. That's why I told him that you should watch it so that it doesn't become an example of foolery. So I think let him enjoy what he posted anyway.
It's a very, very disgraceful thing to come from a person like him. Let's tell you what the front pages say, and then we move on. We have the Nigerian Tribune, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Guardian. Nigerian Tribune banner headline is Appeal Court validates INEC timetable on 2027 elections on page 21. The writer here is, it's not a writer, it's another story on page 22. Continues, it says, strikes down portions of Electoral Act as unconstitutional. 210 trillion naira missing funds claim falls. Balawunti tells Senate, says no money went missing under my stewardship on page 4. Foreign reserves now 52 billion naira. CBN governor is speaking on page 6. 2 killed, several injured in Oshogbo shooting as police launch investigation on page 27. Troops raid criminals hideout in Ekpe, arrest 24 foreign nationals on page 24. New bill proposes 100,000 naira fine for traffic offences on page 12. Hawking inside buses, preaching inside buses attract penalties. Alcohol-induced driving. Others attract 50,000 naira, 6-month jail term. Habila, aid to my works or to works minister's death. Atiku, MBF, Nance, others demand probe. She is like a daughter to me. I am mourning. Umahi speaking on page 30. Abducted persons in school attack rescued. Kogi government is speaking on page 3. Bandits killed at security agencies free victims in Kwara community. And above the nameplate, court orders final forfeiture of 8.94 billion naira assets, 11 luxury cars, cash linked to Aisha at Chimugo on page 3. CPPE worries over renewed acceleration in food inflation on page 6. PFIPC, Bajabia Mila, Suza Dayemi for 15 billion naira over alleged defamation on page 3. Why is it coming now?
Well, he had given that very threat, asking the guy to retract whatever he said, apologize to him, and he gave me a timeline to do that. And that has not happened. And he decided to sue him to clear his name. Like I said last time, Bajababila might be innocent of the allegation leveled against him. It could be that somebody impersonated him, somebody used his name to fleece this very guy, able to get all his employment letters, how he was able to use the paraphernalia of government to do his operations, how his agency or the council got appropriation in 2026 budget. So there must be a collaborator within the executive of the federal government. So they need to do that. But like I said, it could be that Bajademila is innocent of the allegation. It could as well be that somehow it's linked to it. So if they do thorough investigation, we hope that they'll be able to clear or confirm whatever people have in their minds. And then you read the headline that where Umahi spoke about the death of the person he called nurse. But that's a part of his statement that got me thinking. If the slams 15 billion naira suit against Ademi, that's on pages 5 of Vanguard. The writer says he never met defendant, denies bribery, abuse of office, allegations caused grave damage to my personal, professional reputation, denies receiving 400 million naira directly or indirectly. On page 9, the headline there says Achimugu court grants final forfeiture of 4.6 billion naira jewelry, 4.3 billion exotic cars, $50,000, 30 million naira to FG. That's so much, Sammy, because the last time she was on TV, she was asked questions about the cash that was found in her house, and she said, I think she said the cash belonged to the mother or mother-in-law. Plenty things she explained. And I was thinking, you see, these rich people can have like 30 million, 50 million in cash in their houses, just because the way they need money, the way they spend money. But look at this very other place of this very headline. Was she trying to rival Alison Madeke? He said 4.6 billion jewelries. I don't know. Okay. This one says importers to increase depot petrol price to 1,350 naira per liter. You can see that on page 26. Why Tinubu must overhaul football administration? Experts.
Others. On page 7. Nance Nayus insistent autopsy, demand probe of Habila's death. On page 29. Is there somewhere in our constitution where Habila's parents can be forced to allow this autopsy happen?
Well, I think that there's nothing like an express provision like that. But in the course of doing the investigation, I think that the police is allowed. If somebody tries to block your investigation, the person can be treated as an accomplice. That's what I know that in law. But the father is claiming that this is according to a report coming from Mahi, and also from an affidavit that we have seen being circulated, that the father said they are not interested in the affidavit in the autopsy. All they care about is just to go and bury the dead and then move on with their life. And according to Mahi said that he has maintained good relationship with the family of the deceased, that they have been friends over a period of time. Well, I do not know how it's going to end. If the police insist on doing the autopsy, if the body has been buried, Umahi said that he gave an order that the body should not be moved until autopsy is conducted.
Is it Umahi's call or the call of the police?
No, Umahi is trying to claim, trying to prove his innocence, that he doesn't have any hand in what happened. That's why he's insisting that autopsy should happen, because if you talk to a pathologist, they will tell you that any kind of very can be detected through autopsy. Last time I spoke to a pathologist. He explained that, he explained that by the way they do the autopsy, anything that happens to a person, you'll be able to find out from that very autopsy. And if you go to some other places that are developed, is part of certifying that somebody is dead, and also part of issuing the certificate. But in our own case, it has not been institutionalized. It's always at the mercy of people who decide to do that. Maybe people who want to have a closure to what happened to their loved ones. That's when they resort to autopsy. That's why today the story of Mobad is still flying around. And they said, the father said, in fact, I can leave that Mobad story for now.
Actually, I saw yesterday, we played the audio on Cherry Box. The father is insisting that the body would not be reburied until an autopsy is carried out. And I asked Edith yesterday, well, a rhetoric and a very funny question. What if the autopsy is carried out and it doesn't match because probably Mobad is not his son?
Well,
I mean,
that story.
Widely thinking. Anyways, there's some other stories here, and I'll quickly run through that. Mixed reactions trail appeal court ruling restoring INEC timetable on page 6. New Nigeria roadmap, OB prioritizes education, healthcare, and policy blueprint on page 7. Ocean polls, Oni warns against bloodshed as gunmen kill 2, injure 6 in fresh attack on page 29. Troops rescue Kogi Neko exam victims as after abductors demanded 10 million naira on page 30. CBN tightens news and FX dealers, caps weekly purchases at $150,000. Find that on page 18 of the Guardian newspaper.
Okay, so let's quickly run through what we have on the Punch newspaper. The big story there says autonomy battle, state defies Supreme Court control, or rather, state defies Supreme Court control 10 trillion naira local government allocations. That's on page 2. And the riders. 2 years after Supreme Court judgment, states still control local government funds. Norgay, Argon leaders. LG autonomy stalls as joint account system survives in most states. LG's FAC allocation jumps 33% 2 years after Supreme Court verdict. I think that's court verdict was on July 11, 2024. And 2 years down the line, we have not made any progress on this Supreme Court, on this local government autonomy battle. Tinubu approves Lagos-Ibadan Expressway reconstruction on page 8. On page 7, 2027 election, INEC unveils mock presidential poll plan. Senate bans preaching, hawking in commercial buses on page 16. Kogi rescues abducted principal, NECO official, 2 students on page 7. Nurse's death, Omahi, police fight bid to stop autopsy on page 16 of Punch newspaper. And with that, we conclude the headlines we have on the front pages this morning.
And as we dive into the conversation proper, I'm trying to get a hold of Dr. Tony Mbeki. He's supposed to join us from the phone end. He'll be joining us in a bit, hopefully, once the network connects. We're starting off the conversation with a couple of statutory authority to issue timetables for political parties regarding primaries and candidate submission, providing greater certainty as preparations for the next election cycle gather pace. Tony Mbeki is here now. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Chisom. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Ghana, Barandosimo, Onitsha, Nedo, everywhere. Good morning. We are back. Thank God for another day. You know, like always say, miracle of waking up every morning. Today is Friday, 17th day in the month of July in the year 2026. I'm happy. Thank God Almighty. Hope you guys are good in the studio.
We're very well. Thank you, Tony. Let's get down to the conversation of the day, as much as we need to take a break in no time. But then, quickly, the appeal court's judgment yesterday, is it a strengthening of INEC's independence?
If you are pushing election timetable, it must reflect what the Constitution says. Just like the law says that notice for election would come about how many days to the election. So you now do it 2 months to the election, and people challenge that. And you say, no, it is our power to do this. You don't tell us when to do it. That's wrong. Very, very wrong. So I take exception to appeal court ruling. Of course, you know what our courts are. I'm of the view that, yes, INEC can do their work, but it must be done in accordance with the law. That's my honest view. Anything done not in accordance with the law, even when you have the power in statutory role, for me, it is invalid.
All right, Tony.
Honestly.
Give me a second. Let's attend to some commercials. We'll be back in a bit.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
bịa onye na-ere mọta Guinness wetakwa otu bọtụ mọta Guinness ọzọ. Onye na-ere.
So, before you move, not just think, wear your seatbelt every time.
104.7 Udala Radio.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Good to know you're still here with us on The Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. So, Tony, before we went on that break, you were talking about your position on the judgment by the appeal court. Please go ahead. Are you there? Hello? Okay, I think I'd need to call Tony again. But Franklin, I think you were about to come in.
Yes, because the main issue that happened yesterday was the fact that the appeal court believed that the party that went to court for that very litigation, Youth Party, has no local standing to have gone to court to do that. One is that the party involved was not in any way affected by the timeline or the timetable which was issued by INEC. And according to the court, when the Youth Party came to the court, to the appeal court, it was not able to prove how that timeline affected its activities. And based on that, the appeal court believed that the court of first instance erred in law and miscarried justice by have gone the way it did in that judgment which it delivered on May 20 this very year. But there are other things that we're going to raise. Maybe by the time Tony connects on phone, I'm going to ask him that very person, because people have been arguing on what INEC did, whether what INEC did was within the ambit of the law. And if you look at the fact that the 1999 Constitution, which is the grand law of the country, gives INEC or empowers INEC to organize, schedule elections. And then you now look at that provisions of the Constitution, try to marry it with some of the time to be able to arrange a calendar that is going to enable it to be able to fulfill the responsibility. Because they are saying that if INEC is going to allow parties all the space in this very world, or all the time in this very world, to be able to do things the way they want, INEC might not be able to have the confidence to be able to finish their responsibility on time and be able to organize a credible election. So this is where the snag is. And if this very youth party is going to go to the Supreme Court, I do not know. But where I'm also coming from is the fact that, when this very first judgment came out, I was asking Tony whether this is like a trap for people who might want to leverage it and defect to other party. He said he didn't see it like that. So now that the appeal court has struck out the judgment of the court of first instance, if there were people who leverage the first judgments to maybe move to another party to contest election, is it going to affect their status in any way? Because that's what I'm just wondering now, whether it's going to affect their status or whether life is going to continue.
Hello.
All right, Tony.
Yes.
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me very
Very well. Very well.
Okay. Now, I was saying that if you look at the appeal court judgment of yesterday, it's saying that the Youth Party quit filed that very case.
To July. What does that say? You've taken August. You've taken September off. You've taken 2 months off from what the law allows. The law says it should be not later than so period. Now, the issue is this. The court knocked it out on technical ground. That is technicality. That the youth party or the party involved did not explain or establish how this would affect it. Why were they in court in the first instance? That is not how to interpret locus. Because it would have been a different ball game if the party that brought this thing before the court is not a registered political party. For me, what is jurisdiction? What is locus? Locus is your actions will affect me. There is no political party INEC's action will not affect. There is no political party. Was the court looking at the way where it has to establish that we are unable to do this, we are able to do that? See, let me say this. I've listened to one senior advocate of Nigeria. I can't recall his name. He was actually on the track in accordance with the law. That's what the federal high court interpreted.
Okay.
In actions, everything must be in accordance with the law.
Tony, let me also let me intervene now, because you're saying that INEC acted outside the law. I want us to extrapolate. Let's use the ongoing FIFA World Cup as an instance. FIFA organizes world football, and there are laws that guide world football. And in the course of organizing any tournament, like organizing World Cup, there are procedures. There are timelines for playing the qualifiers. There are timelines for appeals. There are timelines for draws. There are timelines for each and every activity before the main event starts. And these things are due certain responsibilities to help it be able to carry its work administratively within time frame without being choked up. That is the argument of the of INEC.
Well, frankly, I'm here. I had one thing to say. He used World Cup preparation to make an analogy of what we are saying. Frankly, I want to read section 29, subsection 1, verbatim. That is submission of candidates' name. And that section says, every political party shall not later than 180 days before the date appointed for a general election submit to the commission in the prescribed form the list of the candidates the party proposes to sponsor an election supplement from the valid primaries conducted by the political party. This section 29 was violated by INEC. Not later than 180 days. And you are shortening the period saying that you need to plan. Why you are making such decision that you need to plan, you need to organize so that this will not collide this will not collide that. That is all democratic and illegal. The law, if you're not comfortable with section 29, go to National Assembly and tell them it affects our organization, it affects our planning, it affects the way we want to conduct this. That's it. Let me ask you something, frankly. Let's forget legality or law now. Let's come back to now. And we know very well campaign period is plus or minus 3 months. Campaign begins around October, November, December, January, have election. How does it affect us INEC? Was INEC able to establish how this even affect them, even when we know that it's against the provision of the law? The law says not later than 180 days, and you abridge it. You remove 2 months against the provision of the law. So what INEC is saying, by the time you minus 60 days from minus 60 from 180, what you have left written on section 129. INEC has written it not later than 180 days. INEC writing a electoral act, and you are telling me it's right when INEC cannot even establish how that would even affect them, which is even secondary. What is primary is the law. INEC cannot do so 129 by telling us that and then committed 120 to the 120.
Your network is Tony, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm going to have to end this call and reconnect. The network is a bit unstable. Or please try to talk again. Let's see.
All right.
Hello?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, it's better now. Go ahead.
Okay. The point I'm trying to make is that INEC has written section 129. The law says not less than 180 days. By INEC guideline, it says not less than 120 days. 120 and 180 are not same. The electoral act says 180. INEC guideline is saying 120, with the reason, which is chiefly for me, that they have to organize. And the question is, they did not even establish how that would also affect them.
Of the autonomy battle, and of course the headline states that states are defying Supreme Court and still controlling 10 trillion naira of local government allocation. And of course I'm curious to find out what some states are yet to comply. I know some have, but some are yet to. Many are yet to. Why do you think they are yet to comply, and why is there no hammer coming down on them and the administrators for this reason?
Why the hammer is not coming? Because all the governors seem to have moved to APC.
Oh.
Even those who are still not in APC are in APC spiritually, even when the body may not be in APC. That is why the hammer is not coming. On matters affecting the federal government and also states. But then we read even the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to activate that very mode. Because the local governments did not even go to court by themselves. it was something the Supreme Court went to the court. Can they go to court on behalf of the local government? Does it mean that local government cannot go to court by themselves? But these are matter for another day. But the point I'm trying to make here is this. The point is very clear. Why the federal government backpedal? Because you went to court, got a judgment. Why wouldn't you stand by it when you know that you are the sole signatory to consolidate trade revenue fund of the country? You decide who gets what, and not you decide anyway, but you release who gets what at any time you deem fit, because the law has established administrations. A lot affects us, but that's notwithstanding. The point is nobody is willing to go to Supreme Court to file contempt. Supreme Court cannot do anything unless somebody says your judgment has not been obeyed. Somebody must go to Supreme Court, and the person that will go to the Supreme Court will be parties to the suit, not anybody who is not a party to that suit. Ab initio, parties to that suit. Who were parties to that suit? The federal government, the executive, the presidency, the states, the local governments. These are parties. They have all come together now. You see why none of them can go back to Supreme Court to fight for contempt? States are holding the local government, the federal government, the presidency and states are now in marriage. The marriage they have, I don't know whether it's holy or unholy marriage, but they are in matrimony. That's why nobody's talking.
Okay, so let me come in here. If you look at that very judgment of July 11, 2024, which was made by Supreme Court, it was basically on local government autonomy, and there are bases for the judgment. Now, look at the key decisions of the Supreme Court. One is direct payment of allocations. In this very case, federal government was ordered to pay allocations from the federation account directly to the accounts of 774 local government areas we have in Nigeria, other than through state government. What that's supposed to mean is that local government areas are supposed to open their own accounts so that they can be receiving this very money directly. But what we still have is that this money sticks, the allocations still come through the joint account being run by state government and local government. So that means this is in defiance of the express directive that's recognized as tier of government. In that very case, they are entitled to manage their own financing without any kind of interference. But that is not the state we have now, because if you make inquiries, you'll be told how allocations comes or how allocations come. State government take what they want to take and then give certain percentage to local government, which is paltry for them to do any kind of project they want to do. Then you look at another part of that judgment. It talks about no caretaker committee. This is where they have complied totally. I think virtually all the states now have been able to conduct local government elections. I doubt if you have any caretaker committee in any state now. Then another one is that the court ruled that there should be no dissolution of elected local government council, and this has been complied with. Then the issue of withholding allocations when they fail, we have not seen this very one happening. So you can see that the ones that are very easy to comply with, that states have complied with it. But that issue of local government receiving their allocation directly on their own without any interference from the state and managing their funds, as we speak now, no state has been able to do that. No state in Nigeria has been able to do that. And each time this thing comes up, they have different reasons backed by the constitution, which they are dues are the reasons they are doing what they are doing. Now, so Tony, if what the federal government did on July 11, 2027, if it's not a ruse, is there any effort being made in this ongoing amendment of the constitution to right all the wrongs embedded in the constitution so that we can deal with this once and for all?
Well, for me, just like I said, there is no effort being made to right some of the things Supreme Court ruled on. Remember, Supreme Court more like abdicated the Constitution. There were provisions for the Constitution. They actually dumped aside they activated the other part of the law, because the law is made on letters and in spirit. They activated the spirit mode of the law, because the framers of the law never thought that there will be a time the joint account as provided in the constitution will be abused by the state governors. Never in the minds of the framers. Being that the framers have thought it would have worked very well, but now it's been abused. Supreme Court activated the spirit with which the framers established that joint account and said, for now, being that it's been abused, it should now be put on hold. We expected that during the constitutional amendment, it will be abolished in compliance with the Supreme Court ruling. That has never happened. That's why I'm saying no effort. Now tell me, states and local governments are one and together. Now, the local government do not want to establish their own local government accounts, because the Supreme Court directed them to establish accounts where money accruable to them will be paid directly to them.
Why do you think they do not want to?
Because they are appendages. They are appendages for the state governors.
So you do not see this? Okay. The appendages. That means the state governors are sort of manipulating that from the back end.
Of course. Their parties, the state governors' parties, are the ones ruling the local governments, because they have control of SIEC, State Independent Electoral Commission.
So why don't the federal government hold on to the money accrued to local governments until they are ready to have an account where it's going to be paid into?
Because they are now one and together with the states. You know, before this judgment, many states were not in APC. If you want, I can count number of them that were not in APC. But the moment they joined APC, you see why federal government cannot withhold the funds accruable to local governments when they do not open their own independent accounts. This is politics. Politics. And it was one of the reasons, in fact, it was one of the things federal government did to make the states to join APC. Many have said it.
So
it was one of the triggers pulled.
Tony, can we call the judgment a political judgment?
For me,
made in a manner, if you rob my back, I rob your back.
That is what exactly the way it appears. But more to it is, the presidency was looking for ways to cajole the local, some states to join APC, and it was one of the ways. And many of them hold local government funds dear to their hearts. Do you know what I mean? Local government funds, they hold it dear to their hearts. Immediately, Latif Fagbemi went to that angle. Many said, no, this man wants to cross the Rubicon. What do you want? Join APC, join our party, support the president. We are going to do that. If that be the case, because judgment has already been gotten. What are you telling me? This is politics.
All right. Let's head on to other matters. We are hoping that someday that the persons in charge of... Hello?
Please go on.
We're hoping that someday the persons in charge of local government would actually be in charge and not, by proxy. And they would actually do what they are there to do. Because I like to think that if they were performatory in the first instance, this entire thing wouldn't have come up in the first place.
Exactly.
Now, let's quickly look at some other matters before we go on this commercial break. There is the issue of Bajabia Mila slamming a 15 billion naira suit against Adeyemi. Of course, it follows allegations made by Adeyemi linking Bajabia Mila to the controversial agency, that's the PFIPC, the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council. And so, is this lawsuit a signal to Bajabia Mila's innocence and, of course, a determination to protect his reputation, or an attempt to stifle Adeyemi?
For me, I think he who has nothing hidden to fear no accusation. And from the look of things, from investigations done, there was never direct contact between Bajabamila and Adeyemi. There was never direct contact. And even Adeyemi...
Your balance is still low to...
Okay, I'll call you back in a bit.
Okay, so because like what I said in the share is that it might go either way. What Bajabela is doing is he's trying to protect his reputation, whether it is questionable or not questionable. But as somebody who was accused in that very manner, of course, has to do something. Never is na abuna agweme ifo jibalago umwe wale afianko. So that's what he's trying to do now. And when you have that kind of a heavy allegation on your neck, you need to do something. But like I said, that why he's doing what he has the right to do, then we now expect that there should be this very thorough and independent investigation to be able to unravel who and who were involved, to what extent, what was the conspiracy like that got us to where we are, because this is the height of the scandal, whereby a supposed non-existing agency, not recognized, not assigned, not approved, was able to recruit people and drew salary from government, was able to interface on behalf of the government with some international diplomats. And there's a provision for that same supposed fake agency captured in 2026 budget, up to 1.3 billion. So these are the things we want them to establish. And then by the time they have done the thorough thing that needs to be done, we believe that we'll be able to say, okay, this so and so were involved. But what I can surely tell you is there's no way we can be convinced that there's no conspirator in the presidency. Because for all these things to have happened, get to the budget, get payment for staff, there's internal collaborating side.
Absolutely.
So it's just for the investigators to be able to fish out who is responsible, whether it's linked to the office of chief of staff to the president, or linked to the office of SGF, or any other person within the presidency or in the National Assembly.
All right, Tony, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was actually of the view that what Abajabele either has done, for me, is what every other person who wants to prove something or prove his innocence should do. And that is what he has done. Now, the question is, the intermediaries they talked about, can he link them or establish whatever link they have with Bajabamila? If he cannot do that, he's in for another trouble. He should start calling those that helped him at the presidency. He should start calling those officers under the office of Bajabamila, under the office of the secretary to the government of the federation, those that helped him. There were those that communicated one thing or the other, brought one thing or the other.
The accounts.
Exactly. By the time these people are queried, they will not tell us who authorized them, who sanctioned that. That's the only way to go about this.
All right.
They may not call Bajabamila, but they may call names. Yes.
Interesting times. We look forward to this case, getting to a conclusive end. I mean, not the point where after some time the press is kept in the dark and we move on from it, because so many things go wrong per millisecond in Nigeria. Now, yesterday, the Senate passed the Federal Road Safety Corps Amendment Bill 2026, which has proposed 50,000.
Who is going to monitor
buses at Impo Junction?
That is the point. You are talking about those at Impo Junction. We are talking about those coming from Lagos, from Onitsha to Enugu, from Onitsha to... See, for you to effect this, motor parks, transporters must be brought into this. I remember when I was, I think shortly between here to UNN those days, especially when you enter Nkana Bombachapo, there is a transport one called Bombachapo. The next will be their drugs. That's what they do. For me, it's a right thing, but who is going to monitor it? Who is going to implement it? You will settle road safety and do your business, because you have created an office for road safety. That is it. Those who are selling this medicine, we go and settle them so that they can do those things in the vehicle. When the vehicle owners or driver asks them, please, you don't do this, you will tell them, I've settled road safety. I've settled them. So let me go on to do this.
Interesting.
But it's good that we have it in place anyway. But monitoring, evaluation, implementation remains a problem.
Big question there.
So Tony, what about Nigeria going further than all this? because they know over there they can't just go anywhere and buy antibiotics or even buy paracetamol. But it happens here. So can we find a way to deal with this issue of drug distribution in a way that is going to deal with all these chain reactions we are trying to address now using pieces of legislation?
You know, why it will be difficult here is because Nigeria is a poverty-stricken country. And we have problem of supplies and distribution. If you cut off some of these things, honestly, more people will die. Yes. How many licensed pharmaceuticals do we have? Even those who are into patent business, many of them registered. How many do we have? You want to even compel many to register. The truth is, we must also work on our means of production, supply.
This is here. 38 to 40 million metric tons of food annually. This is particularly concerning to me because there are so many. I mean, Nigeria is the hunger poverty or poverty capital of the world, and that is stemming from the fact that people are hungry. And there was a day I was coming down from Unkwele Axis. I saw a place where people dumped spoiled Irish potatoes, bags and bags and bags of Irish potatoes, all gone to waste. It happens to vegetables, fruits, and what have you. And I am curious to find out, Nigeria has remained insecure food-wise. How can we, as a people, I'm talking government, private partnerships, how do we reduce the losses?
We are not doing what we are supposed to do. We are talking about losses. How many storage houses do we have? Do you know that normally every local government should have a storage house for agricultural produce? Don't you know? Every local government. 774. Can you tell me any local government that has a storage house where foods are preserved? When we talk about food security, do we have food bank? Even if we have, where are they? Because the only time I recall about is only the central government that talks about food banks and then food storages and what have you. States, do they have that? Many of them stored the rice. You know, when they did whatever they did, rice allocated to the state by the central government. Many states will house them, and we saw how some hooligans invaded those places and scattered away with them. But we're talking about the ones you get directly from farmers. Encourage farmers, be the off-takers. Take it away from the farmers. Encourage them to go back. Preserve that. How many states are doing that? And we are counting our losses. Even when these farmers do this, they don't even see those that will take it off from them. As a business person, when you don't know who is going to buy your products, will you be encouraged? Can't government at the local government level, state level, encourage farmers? Do this in quantity, we will buy. We will take it away from you. They put it in the storage facilities. Farmers will be, by the time you know it, will be exporting. I'm telling you, by the time you know it, will be exporting. By the time our storage facilities are filled to the brim, the next will be thinking will be to ship it to Ghana, to ship it to Burkina Faso, to Sierra Leone, to Zimbabwe. These are ways to go. But nobody. There are many farmers that are willing, but they don't know who is going to take it away from them, buy it from them. And many of them don't have the skills to preserve. And even to preserve some of these things requires expertise, technicalities, even funds. They cannot do those things.
All right.
That is why we don't even have plan on some of these things. That's why we are counting our losses. Why won't we count losses? We will keep counting losses. We will keep.
Okay, so let me also add to what you have said, because another reason we're having this very way, they have in one way or the other, maybe gone for seminar, worked with Export Promotion Council for them to learn one or two things on how to preserve yam. But if we actually want to do this value chain, so that the ones who cannot finish fresh, we can be able to process them, there is this yam flour that you can explore. There is this very yam chips and crisps we can also explore. There is instant pounded yam we can explore.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about yam starch. Do you know that you can create starch from yam that can be used by industries and pharmaceuticals to create a pharmaceutical starch? There are plenty of things we can do. If actually
there are so many things.
If we want to
even bakery.
Yeah, if we explore the value chain, those ones that we cannot finish at the instance, we'll be able to channel them into this put them into other use.
We are certain these farmers cannot pull these on their own.
I'm telling you,
And so they would
even
you
are talking about yam, even yam pastries,
all right,
even yam pizza. You can have yam pizza.
We need to go on a break. Attend to some commercials, and the phone lines will be opened in a bit. To stay.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Travel Okwaya, my guy. Follow Uno Road. If you feel like say you want travel this night, no worry. Travel smart, travel safe, travel in comfort and style with GUO night bus service and just safety. Departure time is 7:30 p.m. daily. Takeoff is at Onitsha and Asaba. So why spend the night worrying on the road when you can travel comfortably and arrive feeling fresh? Book your seats today. For reservations and inquiries, call 0906 639 8630 or 0700 012 1000 or 0903 336 7275. GUO Transport Company. Comfort, safety, and reliability.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Even children, they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. You get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread.
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside CPS, Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza, Atani Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
104.7 Udala Radio. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Join the conversation if you can in a minute. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Let me start by apologizing for eating into your time. So let's not waste time talking about it. Good morning.
Good morning, Chisholm. Good morning, Franklin. Good morning, Tony on the line. The voice of order this is Mayor Okutume JP Okulolo Chemdonobi. Let me first calling from Awada. First of all, let me talk about the issue of bush lodging and the losses and so forth and so forth. I want to ask you, if you are asked to say, is Nigeria embracing agriculture? Are we into agriculture? This is my question. I want to know if Nigeria are into agriculture, because I knew quite well that we are very much far in agri, and I want to make it categorically clear. For Nigeria to survive in this situation we are now, we need to embrace agriculture. Are we in agriculture? Secondly, I want to talk about all this court issue with parties and so on and so forth. We are talking about the election 2027. Court will give this through, give the order tomorrow. And I want to ask, going by this way we are going, are we going to have a successful election in 2027? Thank you and God bless you.
All right then. 0803-221-6973. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my first time call.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to see you so maybe by coming to your office. God has shown me the solution to this country, Nigeria, about a lot of things on how to move forward in this country, Nigeria. God has shown it to me. The process for the food processing of the thing, clothing, preservatives, everything God has given it to me. That is 8 years ago I have been on it. I would have loved to be involved to come so that I will not be broken.
All right. Our office is at number 5 O'Connor Street, Onitsha. Number 5 O'Connor Street, Onitsha. J sent all sends. Hello, good morning.
A wonderful morning to you, Chisom Chinedu, Franklin, Tony, and Samteki. Good morning. Honorable Deacon, I'm bringing you from Onitsha. Going straight to the point. the National Assembly, like they don't have better business to do. That is why they are making laws for the FRSD, just like the speaker said, opening up businesses for them. They have not done the basic things they're supposed to do. And let me remind them, trying to fight God is where they will make it a brick wall. It will be, very difficult for them to kick against the bricks. This is just to discourage Christians that go for morning crying, go for evangelism, go for winning of souls. I don't know why they are being disturbed by this preaching. This preaching helps to get moral standards for our children and our youth. Why is this the problem of this National Assembly? That preaching in the bus, preaching on the street, when you are not the one sponsoring them.
There is time for everything, and there is a place for everything as well. That's why Jesus pursued the traders from the temple.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm. There is a good in it. Go ahead. You should try to reconnect. 0803-221. Drop your comment on Facebook as well. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, you guys in the studio. My name is Sakine de Kala, Nollywood actor. I'm calling from Shola, the Owerri Road.
Go ahead, please.
I want to talk on the issue of Odogu Asaba and that girl. From what you people said, instead of Odogu Asaba to send that when the woman gets vexed, that the person will just forget them.
You should be rounding off now. You should be rounding off.
I'm also a content creator. When I go to Facebook, search Kennedy channels. So, you people have to look into it critically. You understand? This is what is happening because most of the guests of this day, they are desperate to act and some other things. This is the problem. Again, I want to talk about stopping people from preaching in the bus. Well, I'm not saying it is not relevant, but our most relevant thing is let the government control these substantial products our people used to bring from abroad to Nigeria.
All right, thank you. I have to let you go. We're doing this in a minute, so
messages, but on the other side too, Odogo Saba is in police net, so it's possible that his phone has been confiscated and the screenshot gotten from his phone.
Yeah, but that didn't come from the police. So where did it come from?
Because no, it came from Joe. Joe, the guy who escalated the whole thing. Even this very morning, I was reading him on social media what he put out. In fact, he has even responded to the concerns people have. Because if you look at that screenshot, you will see how that thing was labeled. So for me, I believe that police will be able to reveal this because according to Joe is saying that police has all the screenshots with them. Then on other issues that have been raised this very morning, I think that for agriculture, if actually we want to become serious, the issue of food wastages, we're going to deal with it. Let's even talk about Anambra State, for instance. Now, Anam does lots of things. I think if you talk about or thereabout, I'm trying to remember the name. I'm trying to remember. That's one particular town in that part that is heavy on okra production. This time around, if you want to, I think if you're going to buy a basket of okra, it's about 3,000 naira now.
If you don't worry, does a lot of okra.
So after this very season, what do we do?
Exactly.
So is there a plan where we can process at least
dry, dehydrate?
Exactly. When we have season for tomatoes, is there a way how we can do those things?
And most importantly, sorry to butt in there, in hygienic environment.
So it's all about having vision, because if we have vision to do this, and that's what I keep on saying, people who are philanthropists who want to empower people, they can do more for us than buying keke and tricycles.
Absolutely.
If they bring that very money they do spend, engage Nigeria Export Promotion Council. There are certain government agencies that can help to tutor people on how to go about creating value chain in agriculture. It was under Buhari. You see, no matter how bad the government of Buhari was able to create a job for Nigerians in the rice subsector. Because the moment he said no more rice importation, as of that very moment, I could count many of people who were close to me who went into rice processing. Now, if you go to Oka now, there are many young people who are into rice processing, and they have made good money out of it.
IMLM also is very heavy on rice production.
Exactly, it's because the environment was created and they were able to learn. So what I'm thinking is, if we want to be serious about dealing with these wastages, we can do a whole lot. It's all about showing will, leading, and people are going to follow.
Absolutely.
And we'll deal with this.
All right. From my end, it is simple. When a person says no, please respect them. When a person says no, for your own sake, please listen to their no. And of course, it's rather unfortunate that the girl's life ended this way, and she's not even here to defend herself of the several other allegations stemming from the supposed WhatsApp messages that were leaked. But I'd also be saying this to young people, especially in this era of social media and how, people are one thing here on social media and a different thing in real life. It's really sad that validation, trust, respect is now conferred on the number of social media followers that people have. It's high time that we start to actually look at substance beyond the screens of our telephones and our devices. And of course, I am hoping that in the coming days, people who commit crimes like what this man committed will not just get to be sentenced to life imprisonment, but like Tony suggested yesterday, castration. Yes, they need to actually pay heavily for it. And I'm also hoping that in the coming days, more victims have the nerves to speak up, because when this happened, a lot of persons also came out to call out this same person, albeit on different other grounds. But of course, if you're not honorable enough to keep to an arrangement, however it is you decide to procure whatever it is you procured, then you're not an honorable person. And please, let's stop the whole idea of shaming people. Oh, so because you went there, why did you go? You people had an agreement, and so what? If it's okay for him to make the agreement, why is it not okay for the girl to make the arrangement?
Let me even add, the Israel Jew who
escalated the matter.
Do you know somebody has gone to ask him what has he gained from bringing Udala down?
You don't even want to know the number of negative and rape-enabling comments I have seen since this matter escalated. And of course, takes me back to what I asked for yesterday. Are we having these conversations with the people that matter the most? The male child, your sons, your brothers, your uncles, and I dare say your fathers as well. Good morning to you. Polity is going to make a return next week, Monday, 9:15 down to 11 a.m. right here on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Until then, I am Chisom Chinedu. I'll see you at 12:25 on the Cherry Box.
Before the bridges came,